in these journals free of charges. Now let's focus on today's workshop, today's work. Mainly today's workshop is focused on systematic literature review, but there are three components of today's workshop. So I divided this workshop at the 2 hours into three major elements. The first step is understanding the basics of systematic literature review. How literature review is being done, what is the benefit, and why we consider systematic literature review more than any other type of literature review. And then the second one, most obviously, the systematic literature review paper template, how we can write and how we can easily write systematic literature review paper. So I'll provide you template, so you can just follow that template and try to write your literature review paper. So in each of the section I will give you the template, and I will try to create some examples for you also. I'll provide these examples so you can use those examples for your work, and we can write this systematic literature review paper more easily. And finally we are going to do the preparation of final manuscript. So this would be the three major components of our workshop today. I will try to complete all three, but I hope today in 2 hours I would be able to complete first two only, and maybe some part of this first two also may not be able to complete today, so we can have another continuation workshop in next week. But let's see how things are going on, and then we can move on with it. The first thing, the basics of systematic literature review. Once it is done, I will ask you to write to do some practice, and you can share your ideas in the comment box so we can read and we can move forward. Okay, let's start. The outline of this workshop is very simple. First, we start with the fundamentals of systematic literature review. So we see what is systematic literature review and why it is very important. And then we'll try to see the systematic literature review paper format. And then we see techniques and tools, or maybe I'll give you some tutorials and some practice or exercise. You can follow my steps to do your analysis and to conduct your systematic literature review. So you just follow those techniques and those steps, and by doing this you can write at least a basic level systematic literature review paper. And then we will focus on mainly this workshop would be following the pattern of research article published by the many good publishers, the many good journal. I will give you some examples also, and I'll try to create a blog where I'm going to share all this relevant information and the published paper in high impact factor journals. Basically they are on systematic literature review, so you can see those examples and try to follow those examples and create your own understanding on systematic literature review. And at the end of the day, you can write your own literature review paper. And finally, the publication. We'll focus on the publication part also. So how we can do publication. We'll try to create a community among the members who are interested in writing meta-analysis and systematic literature review. So we'll try to review your work and try to give you some feedback so you can improve your work and it would be able to publish. Okay, so this is how we start. The most important part, why we do systematic literature review. Why systematic literature review is very important, and why nowadays many researchers, and especially the professors, they are focusing on writing more on systematic literature review rather than writing on any other format of papers. Remember, the systematic literature review, irrespective of the area, the discipline you are in, the field of your study, you can do in any field of research. We can focus on systematic literature review. So that's why it make it very simple and very good writing technique. So let's see, there are 5 major reasons why we start with the systematic literature review. Basically, it is used to map the existing knowledge. Initially, it was started from medical sciences, where we want to see the treatments of particular disease and the consistency of the treatments within the different countries, how they treat that, and what is the results, and then they can find out the optimum solution for any type of disease or cure for any form of disease. But later on, this concept was expanded to all other fields. Now, no field is, I think, no field is irrelevant to this systematic literature review processes. So, any type of literature review or any type of field can be good for systematic literature review. Remember the first part for the importance. I'll just take your 5 to 10 minutes, and then we move quickly towards the practice session. So let's move. The second major reason why we conduct the systematic literature review, because it follows a scientific method, a rigorous method. There are steps you need to follow, and it is a very scientific way to conduct any study, the way we do quantitative research. The practice or similar tools or similar platform can be applied to systematic literature review. Although some of the parts are different, but the scientific method is same. Each research article or published paper would be considered your data point, so we can work with the data. So we can include this quantitative methodology within the review process. So that's why it is very important. I'm not going to take you to the steps or theoretical foundations of the systematic literature review process. This workshop would be more on practical, how you are going to conduct your research. So that's why I will go through these systematic scientific methodological processes, and I'll try to teach you step by step and with the practice. So be ready, prepare your laptops and follow my steps once we are on the practice session. Okay, so it follows a scientific methodology, and nowadays with the available databases and also with the tools available for literature review and tools available for data analysis and tool available for text mining, we can do systematic literature review very quickly. So that is a added benefit for doing systematic literature review process or systematic literature review papers. And fortunately, this form of research article, it is easy to publish. If you have conducted a good literature review, you can find out any good journal who can publish your systematic literature review process. And nowadays, being an editor, I know most of the journal, they encourage to write at least one systematic literature review per issue. Means that if any journal is publishing any issue, at least one paper would be from systematic literature review. So that gives us opportunity to write more, and we can get it published easily. So this is another opportunity for systematic literature review, why it is important. And finally, the mostly cited papers nowadays are systematic literature reviews. So if you follow correct methodology, if you follow all the steps available for systematic literature review, you can get your work published easily. At the same time, you can have highly cited publications. So means that any work in the particular area would cite your work because you have included all the relevant studies in your research. So that's why your work is more visible and it would be highly cited. So that's why it is very important for all of us, because we know writing is our job, and obviously if you are writing, the citation is one of the major factor we focus on during the research. So that's why highly cited papers are more systematic literature review. So that's why I encourage you to write more on systematic literature review. Okay, this is the fundamentals of systematic literature review. Remember, when you are writing systematic literature review, we need to start some point, and that point is asking a question, a research question. Always start your systematic literature review with a very clear research question. Don't include many of the variables in one go, like moderator, mediator, or many concepts. You cannot add many of these concepts in one literature review process. So if you want to include more variables, so you need to conduct more literature reviews. Not one literature review is suitable for all. So focus on limited things. Start with a very clear question. Let me give you one example. My area is sustainable manufacturing. I'm interested to see the current practices of sustainable manufacturing in the industry. So that is very clear question. I'm trying to map what available practices are there to reduce the carbon emission, to secure the societal protection, and also at the lowest possible cost, mean the economic side. So mean that my question is very clear. What are the current practices of of sustainable manufacturing in the industry for nowadays? So that is in manufacturing industry. That is very clear question. So what is your question? Please think. You have to come up with one question, because without that we cannot proceed further. Otherwise it would be difficult for you to understand what is happening there. So please be clear with your question and try to think and try to start. I will give you 5 minutes after this slide. You can just think on your research question and post on the comment, so I can check and I can give you some feedback if it is relevant, and I can pick some example. But everyone, you must need to start with the research question, and that research question would be very clear and not including so much variable, many variable, maybe on one variable, one concept, one construct, or maximum if you want to do one relationship. The impact of COVID on economic growth, the impact of particular medicine on behavior, impact of salary on satisfaction. So means that you need to focus on one relationship or one construct. If the studies are more toward the scientific, just focus on one method. More on engineering side, if you are from engineering background or other background, so just focus on one experiment, one type of experiment, one field, or one construct, one relationship. Okay, so this is the limitations on systematic literature review process. Okay, clear? So I hope everyone understand this concept. So start your research question, ask yourself some research question which you are interested to find out, and do not include many variables, just one variable or maybe one relationship for the basics of systematic literature review. Okay, so let's start. I'm just giving you 5 minutes to check, to think, and post your research question in the comment box. But remember, the research question should be very clear, to the point, not including many variables. Just focus on one variable or one relation at a time. Okay, so just wait for 2 minutes. Everybody can post your research question there, down there. Okay, so I received uh, a lot of research questions here. I hope everyone is clear about the main concept of research questions now. So the only two things, some I can see some of these research questions, you have included a lot of variables, maybe 2 or 3. So just focus on one or maybe two variables, okay? And along the way, we will see what other interventions are available there. But with the basic, start with very fundamental question, very simple question, so we can understand this process very clearly. Okay, let's move now. Now we are clear about our research question. Everybody have something in their mind, particularly related to their ideas now. Now it is time to start writing. It is time to start or convert your thinking into words. I will give you some practical tips and some practices for this systematic literature review process. You can follow my steps also. Okay, so let's move to the next point. The first component of this research workshop is already completed. So we are very clear about the fundamentals, why we do systematic literature review and why it is important, and what is your basic research questions. And we need to understand again, I'm telling you again and again this thing, don't include much of these variables. Just focus on one construct, one experiment, one variable, or maybe maximum one relationship at a time. If you want to include more, we can extend the type of systematic literature review later on, because if you include more variables, we will go towards the meta-analysis and finding out their results. We will see how we can do that in future workshops. But for now, we are very clear about the research question. Good, I'm receiving good research question, but try to see some of these research questions, they have multiple variables. So one variable or one relationship is okay. So we are clear about our research question. So my research question, which I am going to take this for this workshop, would be basically on the current issue of COVID, the impact of COVID-19 on economy, maybe in broader term, or maybe some people, they have already mentioned the public health, and some people, they have already mentioned some other forms. So COVID, it is affecting every part of your, every aspect of your life. So that's why you can do a lot of research on this. So my focus here is to finding out the impact of COVID-19 on economy. Maybe I'll just take this example with you, and we'll see how this research is being conducted as a systematic literature review. So from here up till the production of my full manuscript, I will give you different types of tips. And Let's move to second point now. The first point, I remember my research question. This is, what is the impact of COVID-19 pandemic on economy, global economy, or whatsoever you want to see. Okay, now the most important part, what is the format of paper? Remember, writing systematic literature review is easy, but at the same time it is tricky. It do not follow the simple template for the research article we do, but it have a particularly maybe a bit different, not a lot of different, but very little differences between the normal paper and systematic literature review paper. So let me start with the paper format, and then we see how we can move with each part of this manuscript. So typically the manuscript, if you see, the manuscript is basically have abstract. The second point would be your introduction. The third point would be methodology, writing methodology, then result and interpretation, and then discussion. And finally, the most important part of any systematic literature review process is to provide future agenda. So these are the 6 major components of your systematic literature review paper. Remember, we have to write each and every component independently. It is not mixed up together. I will tell you how, and you can write simultaneously different components. So we'll see how we do this practice. Now, writing an abstract is very important, but this is the last step of your research. So that's why I will try to tell you in the next session or in the next workshop how we can write an abstract for systematic literature review. But today my focus would be more on writing introduction, writing methodology, and if I get some time, and I will tell you how to write results and interpretation. But for results and interpretation we need Excel. For methodology we need to use Scopus.com or Web of Science or ProQuest or any other databases, and that I will give you different steps. But introduction, we need to start with our research question. Okay, so remember, the art of writing is basically based on one rule: eat an elephant bit by bit. You cannot eat it together or one time. So just focus on small pieces of information you have in your paper. Okay, so each component, like we have these 6 components, each component you have to subdivide into different components and then try to write. I will tell you how each component is being divided, so it would be easier for you to write. So that let's see how introduction part is going to be divided. The first thing, introduction part, basically in introduction we have 3 subsections. Writing from your question is very simple. I'll just give you one example, and I will also tell you some of the part of each subsection, and then I'll give you some published papers example, and then we can understand how we can write. The first thing and the most important thing, you need to understand the introduction section may be composed of 1000 maximum or 1500, 1000 to 1500 maximum word. 800, 700 is a normal practice. So in basically systematic literature review paper, you need to write an introduction of maximum 1000, or maybe if your information is too much, you can go with the 1500 word maximum. So this is how I divided traditionally an introduction section. But in introduction section we have 3 major components. The first one, what is existing knowledge available on the problem? You always need to start with this thing. If you see good papers, they are going to tell you, okay, in the past 20 years, last few years, the researchers are focused on this area. In the past decade, the research is telling us. So they always start with the problem, existing knowledge on the problem. Okay, so what is already available? If we face this problem, so do we have any enough literature available in the research or in the field of our study? If yes, what is that knowledge? Okay, so we need to map this knowledge. Okay, then second thing, why we do research? is to extend the body of knowledge. Extension means you find out some limitation on existing knowledge. There are some gray areas in the existing knowledge. That's why you want to do this research. Otherwise, there is no benefit of doing your research if it is already being done before. Maybe small part, maybe some different elements you can see, but you need to find out what are the limitations on existing literature. Okay, this is the second component. And then the third component is about your research question. What is new? Why you want to do this research and why your research question is very important to you and also to the humanity or the knowledge area. Okay, but remember, we need to write 500 words for each. I'll give you one example, very simple example for this. Let's say in my area, which I told you, the research question was very simple. The research question is, what is the impact of COVID-19 on world economy or global economy? Okay, so I have to divide my introduction part into these three. So what I did, I prepared some key points for you. Okay, so what I did, I took information from Worldometer or World Health Indicator. So I just write those information into form of the existing issue. So issue is being accelerated and then started from China and then spent to the all over the world, and now countries are facing this issue. So this is how the current understanding of COVID-19 are. And most importantly, we don't have any vaccination. And important factor is that all the economic activities are being suspended, and most of these things are flights are not going there, supply chain is stuck, and so all these economic issues are there. Okay, so this is our current understanding on this situation. Now limitations. The second component is limitation. So in the limitation, I explain, okay, if this situation happens, why not we have any other available options? Our understanding or our level of dealing with these type of pandemics is not very good. We don't prepare ourselves for these situations. So these are the limitations on existing knowledge. The most important limitation is when you do research in for any virus infection or anything, that will be only with the health sciences. But what about the other fields of life? Now, you see the world is integrated. If you are facing a problem, a health issue, that will affect everything. Now the situation is, everybody can understand that situation. So it means that your issues, the humanity issues, are not uni or bi or one or two disciplinary. It is multidisciplinary. All these challenges, issues need to be solved with the help of a team or the research that need to be done in the interdisciplinary or maybe multidisciplinary research. So that is the focus of my limitation. So mainly the research work has been done, but that was only focused on finding out the vaccination. But what about if this pandemic situation happens? So what about the response to this pandemic? What about the disaster management response? So all these options are not available. So that is the limitation on the literature. You can clearly consider this one. And then my research question, okay, so what is the solution now? How we can develop a response? So this is the research on this COVID is not new. The many other researchers have already explained their potential to become a pandemic from epidemic. So all these situations are already being studied. But did we learn anything? If not, we didn't learn anything from the past. So how are we going to settle our future? So that is the major question. So that is my research question in this. So that's how we classify our research question with the introduction part. So this is how I end. If you see, the last line of this situation is we map the literature to understand what lesson learned from the past and discuss the possible future scenario finally. So this is how we write the basic of introduction part. So I would suggest everybody you can read this and try to write your research question in the form of these three subcomponents, and then you can merge it in one introduction. But when you are writing, please be careful, each section should be separately deal, and then you deal it separately. It is very easy for you to write and find out the literature. So this is for the introduction part. So you need to write at least 1000 word, or maybe 1500 if you have enough material for your research. But most importantly, your research question should lead to something which is new in the literature, and you need to find out some limitation on the existing work. So that is how we construct our introduction, and that is a similar method we use for thesis. That is similar method we use for other quantitative or qualitative research article. The research question is the fundamental, and from that research question you try to craft your introduction part. Okay, so this is the introduction part, theoretical part. Let's move to some practical work now. I would request everybody to prepare yourself, and if you have access to internet and scopus.com that we are going to use now. So introduction part, I think it is clear now. So if you have any question on introduction part, you can post me here. I'm just giving you 5 minutes again for the second section. Once you are done, then we will move to the methodology part, which is the main and important practical work in systematic literature review. Up till here, I just given you theoretical work. Now later on, we'll start some practical work. But writing introduction is the most important part. So if you understand it clearly, give me comments. If you have any question, you can ask me, so we can focus on that, and I can try to entertain your questions. So what you need to do is, you need to divide your research question into 3 components in the introduction section. And if it is easy for you to understand how we divide this, and I already given you example, so try to think and give me some question if you want to. Okay, some people they are requested for my slide. Yes, sure, I will share all these slides to all the registered participants. So I'll try to create an e-certificate also. So we'll try to send you through the email you already registered with us. Okay, so once we are done with this today's workshop, we'll try to share the relevant material. So everybody should work, and we can try to do some practice also. Okay, so many people they ask about the limitations and the third part about your research question. Let me explain briefly again. So existing body of knowledge, very clear, but why we do research, we need to find out some limitation on the existing knowledge. Let's say some people for the very basic understanding, so some practices they have been done in the different country scenario, not in your country, so that cultural issues may be different. So that is the one limitation, the country side. And also we need to see what work has been done and what need to be done in the future also. For example, let me give you the situation of COVID. I already explained. So existing literature is available. If you search on the internet, you will find out the coronavirus family of viruses. It's not new. But what happened? Even though the research were enough and there were some signals from different research articles that there is an possibility that this COVID can be a pandemic in future. But did we took those findings and try to search how we can develop a response if something happened like this? So this is the limitation. So in the research, your research question, basically it identifies the limitation. Okay, so you need to form your research question very clearly. That's why I ask you, if you are clear about your research question, you are clear about what work has not been done. So limitation is basically what work has not been done in the literature. Okay, and the third one, then first we explain existing body of literature. Second, we explain what work has not been done and it is required to do that work. And the third question is basically why I want to do my research, because that limitation allow me to introduce my research question and include in new knowledge in body of knowledge in the particular field. So that's why this is very important. Your research question is important in that area. So please link up these three different levels. The first level where you are writing about the previous knowledge, the second level where you are writing about the limitations on the previous knowledge, and then you bring your research question, why I want to do this research, because the limitations are already there on previous literature. The past literature is not able to answer my question, so that's why I need to investigate. Okay, so this is how we need to understand. Okay, somehow maybe the people may be not agreed on some particular treatment. Maybe people are not agree in the positive or negative relationship between the variables. So that can be your research question, and that can be your limitation on the literature, because if you map the literature, you find diverse findings. So you are not able to find out what exactly the nature of relationship between these two constructs or between these two variables are there. Okay, so that's why how we start with the existing body and then research question. Okay, let's move to third point. I think we are very clear on these two things. If you have again you have questions, we have that Facebook page. You can write your comments and we can start a discussion on finding out the more information on. Because of limitation on the time, let's move forward, because I have a lot of work for today. It's a bit extensive workshop, but still I hope so everybody is with me. So let's move to the methodology, very important part. Remember, in systematic literature review methodology, we follow only Prisma framework. Just follow this one. This is a standard, and mostly the good publisher and the good journal, they accept the paper published based on Prisma framework or Prisma statement. Okay, so you need to follow this Prisma framework. So methodology, it is very simple and the steps are very clear. Yes, we need to practice how we can write and how we can report. I will give you the reporting, and I will also try to give you some practice how we can do each of these steps. But the Prisma framework or the Prisma statement is very useful resource or useful method in doing or reporting or your methodology in systematic literature review. Okay, now Prisma framework, it have 4 components basically. The first level is identification, the second level is screening, and third level is eligibility, and the fourth level is basically your inclusion of your research papers. It's very simple. I gave you one example. You just follow this, and I will also give you the link for this Prisma statement. You can just download that template. So mostly the publisher, they are agreed on this Prisma framework, that is called preferred reporting items for systematic reviews and meta-analysis. Okay, so this is how we need to write and report our methodology. Okay, if you follow this pattern, most likely your paper would be accepted for publication, because this is this provide you a scientific rigor. It's a very scientific method. Okay, so there are 4 stages. I will go through these stages, and then we do some practice sessions, so how each stage is different from each other. Okay, so let's move to the identification stage. Now remember, systematic literature review is basically to review all existing literature. As compared to the narrative and other format of the system literature review, we can ignore some of the papers. Some we can report because we try to see the literature which supports our argument. But in systematic literature review, this is not the case. In systematic literature review, you need to report each and every study you exported or you see during the search or query. So whatever number is there, you need to report this one. If you see here, a lot of studies were extracted at initial stage, but later on only 21 studies are there. And this is a published article in Frontier of Psychology. This is an impact factor good journal. So if you see, and even I can give you some examples of renewable and sustainable energy reviews, and then cleaner production. All these journals, they are publishing high quality systematic literature reviews. But remember, one thing is common: this Prisma framework. Here is one tip. The methodology in each of your research paper would be almost same. So you can use effective utilization of available resources. You can do that. You just write, or you just follow the template I'll give you and the reporting items. You just follow that and try to change the words you already have. So this research framework is not difficult for you to report and write. So that is very simple. So some part of your literature review process, it will always be same. It follow the same standard. So that part is very easy to write once you have the practice. So once you do that practice, it is easier for you to write a systematic literature review paper, because 35% or 40% of the paper is repeated itself. So you can just utilize that experience you do when you do more search on it. So let's go to this Prisma framework one by one. The step 1, identification; step 2, screening; eligibility; and inclusion. Remember, each step I will give you some question, and you need to write based on your own research question. So you just need to give me in the comments. Okay, the first thing is identification, the first step. Here you need to identify some key components. How you are going to search literature, very important, the keywords. Being a researcher, we all aware of importance of keywords in research. So if your keywords is selected carefully and wisely, it will lead you to the exact article and exact data you require. So the more your keywords are refined, the more you can do a better research. So keywords, please think, now at this point, please think and try to write what keywords you are going to enter in the search engine, maybe Scopus or Google Scholar or any database. How you are going to search your relevant literature. That is important. The second point, where? The keywords, yes. Are you going to enter these keywords in the Google Scholar? Google Scholar is a search engine, maybe not expanded databases, but it is better to use established database like Scopus, Web of Science, ProQuest, Abesco. All these are very good databases. But for the current workshop, I'm going to train you only on the Scopus, because that is most widely used database, and most of us have access to Scopus. If you don't have access to Scopus, try to follow my steps, and then later on when you have this Scopus access, you can extract your records very easily. Okay, so first, keywords; second, search criteria or the databases; and the third step is to extract your record. How you are going to extract record. This step is very easy. Mostly if we see, we can see that we have 2000 studies, 3000 studies, and at the end of the day we have only 20, 30, or maybe I was just looking at some paper published in very high quality journal. They are taking just 5 research papers and they do a literature review process, but still it is acceptable for publication. Means that the number of article finally you include in your research doesn't matter. Only matters the criteria, how you extracted those records, how you extracted those research questions or research papers. So that is very important. Okay. So now what you need to do is, please identify 3 keywords from your research question. We already know that what is our research question. So think how you are going to search your literature. So give me 3 keywords, post in the comments your 3 keywords, how you are going to enter. You cannot enter complete phrase. It is better just to use 1 or 2 word phrase, not lengthy phrases. Okay. So just 1 or 2 words, mainly your variables or any problematic issue. So please, if you can write 3 keywords here, I would see whether it is possible for. Yes, PubMed is very effective for literature search. Sorry, I forget to mention this one also. This is very important. It's a really good database. So all these databases, the relevant and the authentic databases are okay to use. So please mention your keywords here. Okay, good. Okay, good. Okay, so in this, there are so many factors for oil prices, for health, for this only remember, we can focus on 1 or 2 aspects only, not all. This is called inclusion and exclusion criteria. So you can focus on oil prices, you can focus on supply chain, you can focus on 1 aspect of economy. Yes, this impact of COVID on economy is a very I think broader term, but you can narrow it down based on your own criteria. So that is okay. Okay, so 3D printing. Okay, JSTOR. Okay, JSTOR is okay. JSTOR also authentic database. Now Elsewhere, basically Scopus is powered by Elsewhere. So if you want to use Elsewhere, better you use Scopus. And I'll give you why I want to use these established databases. There is a lot of work we need to understand why we use this established databases. Okay, let's move forward. Now we have already defined our keywords and we already have our search database. Today I'm going to use Scopus, and then how we extract the record. So please remember, I'll just go through these 4 steps and then we do practice. Okay, so the second step would be screening, inclusion and exclusion criteria. Very important. You need to discuss, okay, whether you want to take all records or maybe just 5 years past, maybe just some limited countries. Maybe you are looking at only research articles, not review papers, not conference paper, not published reports or anything. So you need to define a screening criteria based on your own understanding. Okay, developed by you, but you need to apply. The criteria is basically you can take all the quantitative papers only. If you want to do qualitative papers also okay. If you want to do just review papers, that is also understandable. Experimental design, the studies on some specific topic during experimentation, or maybe some different types of medication. So you just focus on key points, what is included and what is excluded. This is called inclusion and exclusion criteria. Very important factor in Prisma framework, and that we need to report in our methodology also. So please identify whether you want to do your research based on some particular concepts or open. Okay, particular countries or open, particular research paper types or open, or maybe you can also see English or any other language is also acceptable for you. So that is the inclusion and exclusion criteria. Let's move on to the next step, eligibility. Once you extract the record, you need to evaluate each and every record one by one. Okay, I will show you how to do that. Each record you need to assess and you need to include or exclude. When we are using multiple databases, there is a high chance we can have duplicate entries. Okay, so duplicate entries, if we are using Excel sheet, we can remove it very quickly. But if you are not using Excel sheet, it is difficult for you to remove duplicate entries in 2000 or 3000 or 200 or 300 papers. So that's why I encourage you to use Excel. That is a very good software and very helpful in many ways of doing this research. I will teach you some basic techniques for Excel sheet also, how you can develop quick graphs and tables and all this from using pivot table. So I will include those part in our workshop also. Okay, so quality assessment, very clear. You need to identify whether the area, the scope of this paper belongs to your area. You want to address the specific issue, so exclude all irrelevant studies. Duplicates record should be removed, and all other criteria, quality assessment criteria, if you want to add any of the features. But that you need to establish before you start, okay? And then finally, the final number of your research is included. Let me go back to this Prisma framework slide. If you see at the top, you see 3,453 studies were extracted, and later on records after duplicate removed there was 2,528, and then records screened and the maximum records were excluded, and then they provided the exclusion method why they exclude different particular records. Some they were not in English, some they were not in scope, some they were review paper, so all they excluded, and then finally they accepted at eligibility stage only 90. Then they did another round of quality assessment, and finally they excluded more 24, and only 21 papers were included in this particular example. Okay, so this is how we need to report and we need to do our work. Okay, let's move to next step. Okay, now let's do some practical work. How we do identification. So for us, I divided my keywords into very simple: COVID, coronavirus, COVID-19, and then remember the keywords can be a single word, can be combination of word, and the most importantly, you need to use Boolean operators. Sometime we are interested the article which are published based on COVID and economy, coronavirus or COVID. Okay, so and or this can be utilized to assess the different types of. I will show you how they are different in the research. Okay, so let's see what is the database. Currently we are going to use Scopus, and the keywords I mentioned is COVID-19, coronavirus, COVID, and then if we are using multiple, the novel coronavirus and coronavirus economy. So these are the simple keywords I'm using it. Okay, let's move to the practice session now. If everything is clear, everybody is ready with your keywords, with your research question. If you are ready, just give me some comments. So let's move to the practice session. And please, everybody should be on this website, www.scopus.com. Okay, so let's be prepared. I'm just giving you 5 minutes to ease yourself and prepare, and start by this website now. Okay guys, everybody is here on this. Okay, Okay, let's just wait for 2 minutes for all of us should be ready. Okay, let's start. So please enter your keywords in your Scopus database. So first thing, if I'm using single word, I can use it like this without any inverted commas. Remember, inverted commas are being used to give a command that if you have two different words but with a single construct, like employee performance, okay, COVID-19, sustainable development, all these are multiple words but single construct. So if you are using something like this, you need to add inverted commas before and after your word. Okay, so this database, it understands once you have this inverted commas, anything under within this inverted comma, it would be considered only one word. Okay, one keyword, not multiple keywords. So that's why it is very important to understand while you are entering your keywords, it is important to use it very correctly. Okay, and each database, they have their own different types of operations. Like Web of Science, they have different. Scopus, they have different. PubMed, different. JSTOR and all other ProQuest, Abesco, they all are different. But you can find out the tips to search for any of these databases here. But more or less, the operation is same. We are using multiple words as a single construct, so that's why we need to include inverted commas before and after your words. Okay, so let's say COVID-19 with the space. If I search, how many studies I would get? Okay, if you see, I have 1516 studies on COVID. Okay, so all of you, can you practice your first keyword and write how many research articles or how many records you find on the Scopus database. Anyone who is doing this, can you? Okay, for Scopus, your institution mostly they have access to Scopus databases. Okay, most of these databases, unfortunately, they are paid, so that's why we need to find out any method to access these websites. But there is a very simple criteria. If you are reviewing any article from elsewhere, they will give you 1 month free access. So if you keep reviewing their article, they will give you free access to their databases. So that is very important method. Similarly, I am accessing Scopus because I am reviewing this elsewhere journal, so they give me free access to it. So I would suggest everybody record your interest in reviewing articles. If you review, they will give you 1 month free. But unfortunately, I don't have any other alternative, so you need to try to find out the method through which you can get this Scopus database search or access to this. Okay. Okay, now we have, let's say, okay, here if you see here, you can define whether you want to see this keyword only in title, abstracts or keyword, or maybe you can use other options. Okay, you can use only abstract, only keywords, title. It's depending on your need. But usually what I do, I use article, title, abstract and keyword. This is the most important information in the Scopus database. Remember, Scopus don't have all full article. It is a database or indexing which only index your abstract, your references and other metadata. But we need to utilize that to, or maybe capitalize the information we have. So let's search. We have this 1516 article. Okay, if you see, this interface is very interesting. Those who cannot access Scopus now, they can request to your friends just to give them the keyword. Those who have the access, they can extract the record for you and send it to you. So still you can work. But in the research network, we can help each other, and that is why I try to create that group. We'll try to help each other. We'll try to provide resources to all researchers. So whatever we can do. But obviously, in that for that reason, we need to work in teams and groups. Okay, so everybody have already. Okay, if you are 121,942 results. This is a lot of result. Whether your keyword, if you receive so many studies, it means that the work you are doing, either it has been extensively studied or you are using not exact keywords, a very simple keyword. For example, if you are using, let me show you this example. If you are using or maybe let's move to more sustainable manufacturing. Okay, so if I search without entering any inverted commas, you will see I receive 14,625 articles. But if I use this correctly, and if I use inverted comma before and after this word, this keyword, the studies would be slightly less, or maybe a lot more less than this. You can see that from 14,000 now it is only 2,281 studies. So either you are not using your keyword correctly, or your area is too broader, and there is a lot of research already available on those particular keywords. So you need to specify, or you need to narrow down your research. The way somebody asked me if we can take all economic side of the COVID. No, if there is a lot of studies, we can just focus on one or two areas. But what I can understand for now, COVID-19 have not been studied a lot with the social or economic and business context. So that's why you will see limited number of studies. Okay, let's move. So is it clear? Okay, if it is clear, any question, any query on this? Yes, 1969 results are okay. 77 result also okay, no problem. It's good number. So mean that your area is new. But we are not searching only with the one keyword. We have different keywords. Remember, we have 3 or 4 keywords. So we may receive more articles later on. 3965 is okay. It is also a good number. We can work on it. Okay. 10 okay, 10 is okay, but we will try to search more different keywords. Okay, okay, done. Let's move to the next point now. We are already on this sustainable manufacturing keyword, and I just search here. I'm just trying to train you how you can extract the data. Later on you can practice, and we can do another session, and you can give me your comments and difficulties. And if you missed or skipped any point, we will upload this video to our Facebook page also. It is available on our YouTube, so you can see later on this video would be available for you. Okay, so sustainable manufacturing, we have 2,281 records. Now this record are everything. Okay, open access, closed access, reports, review papers, anything. Now we need to identify our second criteria. Okay, if I go back to this slide, you remember, just wait a minute, my laptop maybe. Okay, so we have this criteria, inclusion and exclusion criteria. Now this is very important. Okay, now you need to decide whether you want to do 25 years, 20 years, 10 years, 5 years. It is up to you. You need to define whether you want to take particular countries. You want to decide whether you want to take review papers, conference paper, all types of record, patents and everything, or you want to particularly limit your research into some specific context. So let's see how we can limit those areas. But first I want to show you one thing. Most of us may be aware of this, but many may not be aware of this feature. If you go here, analyze search result, the Scopus will automatically analyze your data and give you some fruitful records, or maybe usable graphs and figures and tables. Just click on this and you will see Scopus created all records you need to report in your research. Okay, this is year-wise data. This one is basically your distribution of research article year-wise. And then if you go here by source, different types of the journals, by the authors, by the university distribution, by the country, you can see different countries here, and then document type, and then subject area. Even the funding information is also available. So there is a lot of information already available on your Scopus. So you just need to extract these figures and report in your research. So sometimes we don't need to do a lot of analysis by ourselves, but still there are few steps we need to follow, and then we need to make it more reliable, or we need to assess quality, and then we need to do it in Excel sheet. That's why. But if your search, if you can do your search here and you can use these graphs and figure, that is fine, no problem. Okay, So let's see how we can reduce this number and filter some information. Here, if you see the left side of your screen, you will see different options, the access option. So now total 571 open access articles and 1710 others or closed access articles. So if you want to reduce to open access or closed access, you can do it. Then number of years, you can see all the information is available. If you want to make it for 5 years, let's make it for 5 years now, from 2016 to 2020. Let's see how it works. Or maybe in some research we exclude 2020 because it is not completed yet, so we just complete from 2015 to 2019. Then if you want to use particular or remove or add particular author, you can do. Subject area, very important. Okay, sometime we are dealing with the engineering side research. If you are dealing with the engineering research, just use that engineering data. If you are using management or business or other side, you can categorize your area. So in my case, if I'm just using the business management and maybe environmental, energy, decision, not particularly engineering, and the social sciences. So this is how I reduce my search to particular area. Okay, and then next, article in press, are you considering them or fully published paper? So this is publication stage, that is also one point. And the document type, as I told you, whether you want to take full article, conference paper, review paper, book chapters, conference reviews, or many other options are available. So I just want to take only review articles. Okay, only full articles, and maybe I can include review and conference paper. It depends on your inclusion and exclusion criteria. The most authentic source, the data is available with the article. Then we have conference paper and review. So book chapters also can be included, and conference review, it's depending on your choice. Okay, but whatever you choose, you need to mention. I will show you how you can mention that. Okay, so source title means the journal. If you want to work on specific journal, you want to see what is the contribution of that specific publisher or journal in the particular field, you can select that. For example, if I want to see what is the contribution of cleaner production in sustainable manufacturing, so I can just focus on cleaner production, and then we can report our result. Similarly, you can focus on some other keywords now. Now keywords, these all are keywords that have been used in these studies, so you can just focus on maybe just sustainable manufacturing or manufacturing sustainable development, you want to take it or not. So you can just categorize or subcategorize your keyword. Affiliations, sponsor fundings, and all these. And then important, countries. Okay, so the countries, very important. If you are looking for only few countries, you can do it. If you want to see more countries or all countries, you can just take it. Now I'm interested in all countries, so let's see. And now I limit my search to these options which I choose. So I just click here, limit to, and then I will see how many records are there for me based on my choice. Okay, now you can see there are only 407 documents available based on the criteria I defined and the assessment and inclusion and exclusion criteria. Remember, quality assessment not has been done yet. It is just the criteria I defined for inclusion and exclusion. Okay, so clear? If clear, you just write the comment. If it is clear, then we can move on. Okay, some of the people, mostly they mention that they don't have access to Scopus. I will explain it to you again. And the Scopus or any other databases you want to pay, you have to pay for it. Your institution, higher education institution, may have the access to these, but those, let's say like in Pakistan, we don't have this access to Scopus through HEC, but still we have many friends who are studying abroad and studying in different countries. They have access to Scopus, so you can request them to send the sheets. I will tell you what are the sheets after using those queries to you, so you can utilize that. But please don't give up. We have alternative options for this. And remember, Scopus is not only database. You can use other databases also, but it is easy to use any established database for systematic literature review rather than going for Google Scholar. Google Scholar, maybe it is difficult for systematic literature review, but it will consume more time. Okay, now we are here. We have these records now. The next step is to extract those records. Very important. We need to understand, you can select all here, you click here, select all, and then click here, export. It will show you this option. Everybody can see these options. "48 results are okay, no problem." Okay, we can focus on 48. 48 is okay for one keyword, but later on you have other keywords, so you can just use other keywords also. Okay, let's export this result. Let's export this result. If you see all this information is available, click on all options. We are going to extract all information. We have to include everything available on the Scopus database. So that's why I click on everything. And then you need to select option here, CSV file. CSV, okay? So here you can see the CSV file. Click here, and then you just click on the right side. There is a button, we call it export. Okay, so just click on this export button. Okay, here is this file, scopus.csv. We can open it in Excel sheet. Now this is the record we have extracted. This is the sheet I asked you. You can request your friend to send you. It's easy. It can be done, and your friend can transfer it to you. No issues with that. Okay, so even though you don't have access to the Scopus, you can ask any of your friend to follow your keywords and send you this sheet, because no matter from where you are going to do your search, no matter from which country, from which institution, which internet you are planning to log into Scopus, but when you enter this keyword, the result would always be same until the new studies have not been included. But remember, the result is, that's why we call it scientific rigor. So no matter if you exclude, you use this keyword or your friend use this keyword, they can send you this very simple. Okay, now let's see, the information is there, all types of information are there, and we have this Excel sheet with us. Okay, so let's see what information, authors, title, years, and all countries, and all this information are available. Now we can play with this. We have a lot of option in Excel sheet. I will try to show you some of these tools and techniques while we are working with the results part. But for now, we are just interested in extraction of the data. I'm not playing with this record. Yes, we can see one by one, and we can use this command to check whether we have duplicate records or not. If you want to see duplicate records, you can just click on the title. You can see this in Excel. You have conditional formatting. You can just highlight the duplicate records if you don't want to delete them at the first stage. There is another option in the data. You can just filter these duplicate records. Okay, so if you want to just highlight the duplicate records, you can just go with this option and just click the duplicate records, and then it will give you duplicate. We don't have any duplicates here because it is only one database. Let me just create a duplicate so we can filter out how we can. Okay, I copied this and pasted it here. So technically now we have duplicate records in our okay. Now you see it have already highlighted your duplicated record, so it is very easy for you to track this duplicate records. Okay, okay, let's move to the next point. Now we are very much okay with this. If you want to delete this directly, you just go with the data, and here you have this remove duplicates option. You can just directly click on remove duplicate, and just the duplicates would be removed. Okay, so in the column C we have, okay, if you see now the duplicate is removed. So we have a lot of easy options in Excel sheet to play around. Okay, now we have our Excel sheet extracted. So we are clear with the basic or fundamental rules of playing with this databases, and we can export all these records. The beauty is the title and the abstracts are already here. So you don't need to go through each paper. You can just read the abstract and decide whether this paper is related to your area or not, and you can include or exclude that particular paper from your database, from your record. So you just can follow this abstract. The most important information is here. So we'll study later on how we can use these abstracts to create some meaningful graphs, tables, and all this. But for now, I'm just focused on this extraction of the record. So everybody is clear on the record extraction. If you can follow me, it's okay. If you cannot, you just, the video would be saved, and you can just follow these steps in later on and learn how we can move on. So it's okay. Export option, you need to click on all, select all article, and then export option would be there. If you missed it, you can just see my video again, and then you can just follow this step. I have already explained one by one, so it's easier for you to understand. Now let us consider you have already exported your data. Each of this record is considered one paper is considered your data, one record. Okay, so now what we are trying to do, we are trying to do systematic review. It is a simple literature review, but now it is based on scientific method. You understand, now we have record, we have data, we can show it. Once you have data, once you have numbers, you can show it in many ways. We will see some of the basic techniques how we can show these. Okay, let's quickly move to, because the time is very short now. I hope so. Okay, we have to delay our, or maybe stop our presentation after this methodology part, and we will have another session of this workshop in next week, so we can continue, because I hope so everybody is interacting and learning, but I feel we cannot complete this in one go. It's not easy for everybody to digest all this information. So let's break it into 2 sessions. So next section we'll try to deliver next week. Okay, so let's focus again. So quality assessment, once you downloaded your sheet, you need to remove duplicate, you need to remove out of scope publication, you need to remove all other irrelevant publications from your records. Okay, if you have data from multiple sources or multiple keywords, let's say I use the word sustainable manufacturing, if I use another word sustainable development, then there would be some more paper, but most of them maybe they are already appearing in my first search, so I need to combine and create only one sheet for all of them. Okay, so all of them should be recorded and all of them should be converted into one Excel sheet, and then we remove duplicates, and then we remove quality, we utilize all quality assessment criteria, eligibility, and then we just finalize our final records. Okay, let's move. The final is basically inclusion, how many papers you have already included. So this is how we do literature search and database extraction. This is the main component of today's workshop. So this is all about this information. I have already explained this all. So just quickly browse through these slides, because I have practically explained it to you on the database, so it's easier for you to understand. But if you don't, I'll try to share all this information with all the registered participants. If you have not registered, please use the link. I will add this link to the description so you can register and become a member of our community. So we will try to send you more information on it. Okay, let's move. So this is some of the practical criteria for reducing your results, the finding. This is how we export the result. Now it remove duplicates, out of scope, and recording. Now the most important part. Now this is what we have already done. I think everybody is clear with these steps. If you are not clear, if you have any question, you can just comment, and if you are clear, please comment, so because I can understand with your comment that things are going well or not. So please comment. If it is clear, then I can just tell you how we can report the methodology part in your research article. I already explained to you introduction section, how you can write introduction. Now I will tell you how to write methodology part, and the next would be writing the results and conclusion, and also future agenda, that we will try to learn in the next presentation in next week maybe. So we'll announce the date later on. So is it clear? Okay, now most important, how we report this in your research. I explained to you in systematic literature reviews, we have 30 or 40% repeated formats. If we are using Prisma statement, every time you do research, you need to follow these steps and you need to report them in a particular way. So that's why if you are doing systematic literature review, you can produce a series of research articles based on one or two, one of your reporting criteria. So reporting is very easy. So whenever you need to report your methodology, you need to follow these particular steps. Okay, these steps are basically 4 steps you need to report. The first is your search strategy. The second is your selection criteria. And the third is your quality assessment, and final is your data extraction, how you extracted the records from the databases. Let me briefly explain it to you one by one. So first we see how we report search strategy. This is how I report the search strategy. For this systematic research, we developed a search strategy to identify relevant literature. This was tailored for 4 databases: Scopus, PsycInfo, Besco, Web of Science, or any other report databases you want to report or you want to extract the records. Okay, so The terms was following the coronavirus or COVID or COVID-19. That is your keyword. So you need to report those keywords particularly here. All search span from database inception until 2020. So in that case, all records were included, and included journal article, review paper, research report, published in English only. So this is how you report your what we have done in our search strategy. So whatever you have done in your search strategy, you need to report it here. Okay, clear? Okay, now the second step is basically selection criteria. We are very clear about our selection criteria also. We are using Prisma statement that is developed by Mohar et al. In 2019. You can see their website also. If you write Prisma statement, you can find out their website. The search is mainly focused on mapping existing knowledge on COVID-19 in the field of social sciences. Now this is important. Field of social sciences, environmental sciences, business and economics. Other search we don't have, we didn't included this engineering, biomedical or all this. So we just focus on some particular aspects, not all aspects. Okay, so you can reduce your search based on your relevant field of information. The search then narrowed to the subject area of environmental science, multidisciplinary, social sciences, psychology, arts and humanities and earth sciences field. So you understand what we did? We have just reported here as exactly the way we did in our search engine. Okay, so this is how you report your methodology. Okay, so the time span, and then if you are focusing on some particular countries, you need to find out or you need to explain, okay, like ASEAN countries or particular region. And finally, a total of 85 articles were excluded at this stage. There were 105 records were extracted at this stage. So you need to report exactly what number exactly was there and how many you excluded and how many you have included in the criteria. So every time you do systematic literature review, you need to follow this particular pattern. No need to deviate from this pattern until you are experienced and you are expert in research. Then you can create your own ways, but for the basics and initial start, just follow these patterns. Okay, so similarly, quality assessment we have already included in our discussion that we are going to use only English. Duplicate results we removed. We also remove non-English, and we also remove other which are not in the scope of this research. So this is how you need to explain the quality assessment and reporting of quality assessment in your research article. Okay, so the third section of methodology is quality assessment. So I think it is very clear according to Prisma statement. So that framework you need to follow, and then you need to report these 4 sections. Okay, and then finally data extraction. You need to tell what exactly was extracted and how many articles were included in the final search. Okay, here I mentioned that, okay, 45 articles were extracted, but based on peer review, original paper, review paper and conference paper published. Reports, case studies were excluded. Okay, and article must be in English, and the time span from 1980 to 2020, and the countries were only ASEAN countries. Just given a report of past 3 steps. Okay, so this is how you need to report the data extraction part. Okay, so this is main on methodological part. Let me again show you, so everyone should be clear on these 4 steps. Okay, methodology we have to report in these 4 steps: search strategy, selection criteria, quality assessment, and data extraction. In search strategy, you need to write what keywords you have used, what databases you have used, and what type of years, number of years or article you included in your search. Okay, and the second part, selection criteria, very simple. You need to tell what is your selection criteria, how many articles from which year to which year, maybe specifically from particular subject areas, or some paper were excluded from this because of some out of scope or any other. Here you need to mention about the duplicates, the Excel sheet you exclude exported, and from that Excel sheet you exclude the duplicates, you exclude the non-English language, you exclude the out of scope, and then the final figure you give this. Okay, this is the final number we after the quality assessment. And the finally data extraction, you just briefly explain into 3 or 4 steps what are your data extraction and how many total articles were extracted. So this is how we report the methodology in systematic literature review process. I hope so it is clear to everybody. Okay, study scope, basically we need to mention whether our studies are focused on some particular area. I'm interested, let's say if I'm looking at the COVID and economic impact. I'm not interested in their clinical trials, what is happening to the virus and how these doctors or researchers, they are trying to find out the cure of that particular virus or vaccination. That is out of my scope. So any study which focus on clinical trials is out of my scope. My area is basically looking at how this COVID pandemic, it impacts the economy, maybe supply chain, maybe your business, maybe your inflation, anything, but it is related to economic side. Okay, so that's why I will just include the studies related to business, economics, and multidisciplinary. But when you extract this sheet, there is a chance that some of the studies are not still in your scope, although you extracted from business journal. But maybe there are some studies which are interdisciplinary, and then still they are giving you trial, clinical trials or vaccination information in your search. So we can exclude those particular fields from our research. They are not required. Okay. So even though you use those criteria on your Scopus database, but when you extracted the Excel sheet, you need to filter it again. You need to develop quality assessment criteria, and then you need to apply it again. Okay, don't believe that you have excluded everything from there and there is no study, all studies are in scope. No, you just go through quickly from the abstract of each article and then see whether it is related to your scope or not. So it is only 40, 50 or 60 paper. You can do it quickly in 2-3 hours, and you can identify, okay, these studies are not relevant to my study and these studies are relevant to my scope. So that's why this is how we need to do the scoping of the research. Okay, clear? So I think we should stop here. Allow me opportunity to open session for question answer. The next session we will do on reporting and writing the conclusion and future recommendation. Today we just learn about the basics of systematic literature review, the methodology, how we extract the data and how we work with the Excel sheet. But next time everybody should be more prepared, because we are going to do some practice session with the Microsoft Excel and other software that we can use it for data extraction and playing with your data easily, and we can develop nice and beautiful graphs and figures to show in your research. Okay, so it's not only what you do in research, it is how you present your research is more important. So I will give you tools and techniques how you can develop beautiful pictures, figures and graphs from your data which we exported just now from Scopus. Okay, so that we can include in our study, and then I'll show you some of my examples also, so that would be easier, or maybe a motivation for you to use different tools for your research, not only one. Okay, so let me open session for question answer. If you have any query, any question, we can take it for next 5 or 10 minutes. If you have any question, please write in your comments, and please write if you like it, or if you have any ambiguity, or this is any concept is not clear, or if any question is pending. So you can write and I can take your questions. Okay, so what about the review paper publication? Okay, now what I assume is after this session you will at least work until the methodology part. Before next workshop, you should be prepared with your paper. At least the methodology part should be clear, and you should be writing on your introduction and methodology part. So in next workshop, we'll try to complete all these pending part, and then I will give you one more week to complete your papers. Okay. So in 2 weeks, we have to complete those who want to publish. They have to complete their research work, and I will share the email IDs. You can send it to us. So we will review, and then we will try to formulate some special issues for you, free of charge, obviously. So we can publish within the different journals. And if any editor of any journal is there, kindly, if you have any venue for publishing these papers, you can contact me so we can work together. So we will allow everybody to publish their work, and we'll try to create this opportunity through this network. So please, I think it is better to sign up with the our Facebook page and also register, so at least we have your email ID so we can communicate and we can send you the information, more information on. Okay, for the certificates, it would be given to you after the next workshop. Once the literature review, systematic literature review is completed. So everybody, I will try to create a web page where we can discuss, and I will send you the e-certificate after the next workshop. But certificate of completion will be issued once you have completed your research article and send it us to for review. The journal list, we are working on it, but some of the journal I have already explained in the start. So we will send you the list of the journal so you can check, and if you are interested, then we can work on it. Okay, how much time will it take to write a systematic literature review paper? Okay, if you are trained enough, you can write a systematic literature review paper within 1 week, but it needs practice. If you are new, obviously you will consume more time, but we are giving you 2 weeks. So this is your homework now. Before next session, it is good if you can complete up till the methodology, and you can write. I have already explained it to you, all the parts of your literature review paper up till methodology. So you can, I will share the slides, and also I will share some of the relevant content maybe tomorrow. So you can just use those and try to produce your paper. But up till methodology, if it is clear, in the next week we'll complete the rest of the work, and then you can complete your work. So maybe 2 to 3 weeks average time for a new person to create a systematic literature review paper. But if you are trained enough, you are good in Excel, you are good in different software, you are good in writing, so maybe you can complete within 1 week. There is no issue, but it needs practice. The more you practice, the more easy for you to write. Okay, from Abesco, ProQuest and all other databases, yes, you can extract the databases, you can extract the Excel sheet from all these databases. It is easy to extract. And if you don't have, there is another alternative way. You can export it to Mendeley or any other software, and then also you can export into a CSV file or Excel sheet. But ProQuest, Abesco and all other databases, PubMed and all this, they are allowing you opportunity to export your result into Excel sheet, so you can directly export, no problem. Okay, for writing empirical paper, yes, we can do this. We will have a series of workshops. So later on, once we complete this, what we started, and if the network is growing, the people are okay, so working together, then we can move on with the systematic empirical papers also, no problem. So we'll see how, and I'll try to give you different options, because nowadays it's a huge debate among the researcher which software we need to use and how to write good empirical papers. So we will cover that part also. Yeah, that is also a good platform. If we can join, most of the participants, they already commented down there. If you want to work in the group, it is very good. And also you can, I think you can meet each other in Facebook page also. We'll try to send you more and more information on systematic literature reviews. Okay, impact factor publication, yes. Systematic literature reviews are very in now. If you see the good journals, if you see sustainability, if you see Frontier, MDPI, if you see elsewhere, if you see all these Sage publisher, they all are publishing good literature review papers. Okay, so it is very in and very practical. If you follow these steps which I told you in the methodology, your research is obviously having a scientific quality, so you can publish your work very easily. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, thank you very much, everybody. Take care of yourself. We are in very uncertain times. Take care of yourself, your friends and family. Everybody should stay at home and utilize this time to do your research, and that's why I took this opportunity you on the systematic review, so you can do it easily. Thank you very much and have a nice day. We will upload the next session, or we will share the next session in next week. So hope so everybody will be online to complete this pending session. Thank you very much and good night.